US President Donald Trump is set to attend the Pope's funeral in Rome this weekend. That would make his visit the first foreign trip of Mr. Trump's second term. So the second foreign trip then will be to this region, the White House confirming he'll make stops in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and right here in the United Arab Emirates next month. President Trump and the Gulf states have a long-standing relationship. The UAE has pledged to invest $1.4 trillion in the US over the next decade. As for Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince has said the kingdom wants to invest $600 billion in the US over the next 4 years. And according to Mr. Trump, the Saudis promised even more money if he travelled there.
This time, they've gotten richer. We've all gotten older. So I said, I'll go if you pay $1 trillion, $1 trillion to American companies, meaning the purchase over a 4-year period of $1 trillion. And they've agreed to do that. So I'm going to be going there, and I have a great relationship with them. And they've been very nice, but they're going to be spending a lot of money to American companies for buying military equipment and a lot of other things.
You're not going to get more transactional than that, are you? CNN's chief national security correspondent Alex Marquardt is following the latest from Washington. It did feel as if his first foreign trip, ended up being a sort of auction, and the Saudis won it. But in the end, it's Saudi, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and of course the UAE. This visit is, about financial deals, but there is also a lot of key diplomacy here. Saudi Arabia mediating Russia-Ukraine talks, Qatar mediating Israel-Hamas talks. Just break down the relationship dynamics here for us, if you will.
And Becky, of course, the UAE, a vital partner in the region as well, has been a go-between for this administration with the Iranians, setting up the conversations that we're now seeing taking place, mediated by Oman on the nuclear deal. Right. I do think a lot of this is going to be about these financial, economic, defense deals. I was speaking with one U.S. official this morning who said that this trip is all about the dollars. But certainly it is coming at a critical moment. All these countries helping out on a number of different fronts and stand to continue helping on a number of different fronts. I think one big question for the Saudi visit, for example, is will Vladimir Putin be there? That's something that's been speculated and reported about. I think there will have to be progress on the Russia-Ukraine deal in order for that to happen. There's also been speculation whether the Saudis would bring along the Syrian president in order for him to meet Donald Trump. So those are the kinds of pieces that we need to see fall into place. But certainly, especially when it comes to the Emiratis and the Saudis, what Trump is essentially seeing is dollar signs, those massive amounts that you were talking about, investments over years-long periods in AI, in tech, in defense, in aviation, and other sectors. I think one interesting thing to watch will be whether, obviously, Saudi gets up to that $1 trillion figure that Trump was talking about, or even tries to surpass the Emiratis, because, of course, they wouldn't like to take second position to the UAE. I think for the Qataris, it's slightly different. It's a bit more reputational, and it's a bit of a thank you from the Trump administration, from the U.S., for being such a vital interlocutor in a number of different areas for the Gaza ceasefire talks, which, of course, are ongoing and the U.S. is trying to resurrect, for the negotiations with the Taliban, getting American prisoners out of Afghanistan. And it's a bit of an effort, I think, to help the Qataris mend their PR, the vision, or rather the impression of their country here in the U.S., which has taken a bit of a ding since October 7th among Republicans who have not liked the fact that Qatar has hosted Hamas or has given payments to Hamas over the years, although we should note at the behest of the Israelis. And that brings me to another point, is that this is a Middle East tour of some of the most vital Arab allies, but very notable that on this trip that the American president will not be visiting Netanyahu in Israel. Becky?
And very briefly, before I let you go, you've talked about some of what Donald Trump's priorities are here, and clearly, the transactional side of this is hugely important. I just wonder whether it's clear at this point what Donald Trump hopes might be achieved in the lead-up to this trip, and consequently what he might be able to sort of declare as job done when he gets here. It feels to me, and certainly by talking to sources around the region, that there is, for example, this clear momentum for US-Iran indirect talks as they stand at present to try and sort of secure some sort of deal in the first instance is important to the Trump administration ahead of this trip. He wants to see some deals done at this point, right?
He does, and he's put his lead envoy, Steve Witkoff, who has essentially, for all intents and purposes, become his chief diplomat on all these different areas, in charge of these various portfolios. The U.S., we have seen their impatience growing on all of the fronts that Witkoff is now in charge of. The ceasefire in Gaza, of course, there's still American hostages that Trump would very much like to bring home. Trump has talked about a very short time frame for getting a new Iranian nuclear deal. Certainly the Iranians are feeling that pressure. And now we have Witkoff going to Moscow in the coming days because the U.S. has made very clear that time is running out. But I do think that that can kind of be seen separately from a lot of this trip, which I really do think, based on speaking with sources, is based on the deals that he would like to strike. Yes, there are going to be geopolitical elements and bilaterals, like potentially that meeting with Vladimir Putin. But in talking with U.S. officials about the preparation for this trip, it's all in the economic channel. Becky, we know that Scott Bessent has recently gone on a tour of the region. We know that there are meetings taking place at the Treasury about what the deliverables are going to be. That's the word that we keep hearing, deliverables. What is the U.S. going to get out of this? And so we've seen the big dollar figures, but we're starting to see the blanks getting filled in about what those actual elements will be. And we know that those negotiations are taking place. The Qataris were here in Washington yesterday preparing for the trip. The Saudis have been through town as well. And so essentially all the work is now being done to tee up those meetings that will take place next month so that they can make those announcements when Trump is there in mid-May. Becky?
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Well, stay with it. And we're working our sources this end around the Gulf as well to try and ensure that we are understanding exactly what it is that the Trump administration wants to achieve on the one hand, and what the perception from this part of the world is as he makes his way here. Good to have you. Thank you very much indeed, Alex.